Welcome to another episode of CHGO Sky. We got a lot to talk about, particularly with one individual named Kamilla Cardoso. Stay tuned for today's show. Let's get to it. Coming at you all live for today's episode of CHGO Sky. We are being presented by the one and only Sunnyside. You want to make sure you visit sunnyside.shop for bright buys every day, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Again, 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Enter promo code HICHGO at checkout to qualify. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary, bright buys every day. Only for 21 plus or IL medical card holders. All right, without further ado, y'all, I appreciate everybody that made the time to come kick it with us for another Chicago Sky conversation, another Chicago Sky podcast. The season has not been going the best for the Sky, especially in this post-All-Star break stretch. A lot of obvious adversity that they're up against in terms of injuries to 3 of potentially their 3 best players, depending on how you looked at the roster coming into the season, between obviously Courtney Vandersloot going down early on, obviously Kamilla Cardoso being available, but Angel Reese being in and out of the rotation, and then Ariel Atkins also being in and out of the rotation as well. So here to look at specifically Kamilla Cardoso and everything that she's been doing generally this season, but especially post All-Star break, is my friend, my guy, Tramaine Griffin. Man, how you doing, bro?
I'm doing good, man. I'm glad to be here. Looking forward to talking some hoops tonight, man.
For sure. We'll go ahead and intro real quick for the people that don't know you. Let you go ahead and just kind of let the people know about what you do, about the reason maybe why you got into what you do, and then kind of what's maybe stood out most to you from the Sky as a team this season, and then we'll kind of dive into the Kamilla of it all.
Okay, most definitely. My name is Tramaine. So first off, what's going on, everybody? My name is Tramaine Griffin. I want to say, first off, thanks for having me on the show today. Second, the reason why I really have a passion for basketball is due to the fact that my dad, my godfather, been coaching basketball since I was the age of 4. So they put a ball in my hands. Never looked back since. I've been involved with the game of basketball since then, whether it's watching it, like I said, watching my dad and godfather coach elementary basketball, whether it's playing it since I've been playing it since the age of 6, or writing about it, which has led to me, obviously, writing for the City Sports, for the Sky, and then for the high post hoops, for the WNBA. So I'm looking forward to talking more Sky today.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Tramaine, man, I call him man because this is like a real life friend. Man is a hustler. Man understands that nothing comes to you if you're not willing to do the work. And I think that's a perfect kind of segue to everything that is Kamilla Cardoso, because for similar reasons, she's been in a unique situation where if she's not putting in the work, it's going to show in these kind of adverse situations where the team is not comprehensively healthy and they're having to lean on her to do more at a higher volume or a higher clip than they typically would. So, Sarah, if we could go ahead and start with the general season graphic for Kamilla Cardoso, and then we'll kind of zoom in specifically on post All-Star break shortly thereafter. But generally this season, Kamilla Cardoso, she's having her way with most of the league and most of the matchups. And if you look at last night's game in particular, 24 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, 4 of 5 from the free throw line, 1 block, and as well as 10 of 9 from the field. those are about the numbers that you would love to see from her on average. To where last night isn't a game where, man, she scored her second most points in a game over the course of her career. It's like, oh, she did this again. You want her to start trending towards the, oh, she did this again type of instance and situation, because her talent certainly suggests that she can do this repeatedly. She can do this consistently. And I think the ways that she's kind of being featured and the ways that defenses honestly don't have the best chance of stopping her when she gets the ball in the spots that she wants to be in, and she's being confident with everything, it just kind of hits different. So for you, Tramaine, when you see a 24-9 type of stat line with 5 attempts from the free throw line, adding a block in there, and being 10 of 19 from the field from Kamilla Cardoso, what kind of pops into your mind first as far as that goes?
Number one, I'll look at the field goal attempts. It shows me what type of aggression she's playing with, throughout the game, which to me has been a big emphasis coming into the season. Seeing the level of confidence, the level of aggression she's playing with has been a step up from her rookie year, obviously. So honestly, her aggressiveness, her level of confidence, and the fact that Tyler Morris has continued to trust her more and more as the season goes on, it shows me that she can really be more consistent and she can continue to do this going forward.
For sure. And I think to your point and to the point that I was making as well, the field goal attempts being the first thing you went to look at, knocking down 10 is that's something that, especially without too much help from the free throw line, and the whistle she gets is just not appropriate. I think we can all agree you can already hardly guard her as it is, and the fact that she doesn't get the whistle helps to make the defender's job a little bit easier. But when she's getting the ball at the volume that she needs to, and she's kind of not just getting it but demanding it from her teammates in certain contexts and certain matchups, it just hits a little different. And I think for me, it's the confidence part that you spoke to, but also kind of because she's more confident in herself, her teammates feel it, and it kind of forced the issue at times to get her the ball, knowing the benefits it can reap, not just for Kamilla herself, but in turn for them. Because if she's not getting double teamed, she's playing one-on-one, that 24 points is easily doable on a nightly basis. Because she draws a little bit more attention than most players do, that usually opens up opportunities for those catch and shoot threes that they like so much. So I think that part of all of it is maybe the most important, because I think naturally she's a player that's certainly a lot more skilled than a traditional big is, but it's when the confidence is a little bit shaky or it's not quite there that she either has a turnover or doesn't make the decision with the timing that she needs to put herself or her teammates in the best situation. We're running into less and less of those instances as she gets more time on the floor, and especially in this kind of time where Angel has been out, just because it's pretty much been the attention specifically and solely on her as far as the paint goes. For you, what are you kind of looking at with her growth in kind of these moments where Angel hasn't been on the floor with her so far?
It's like you alluded to earlier, demanding the ball more. Like I said, making her presence known more, which goes into her being more aggressive, her being more confident in herself, which to me shows her taking that next step in comparison to last year, where she's trying to fill out the WNBA, get more confidence in herself, get more acclimated into the system, stuff like that, and then lead into this year, and like you alluded to, particularly into post All-Star break, knowing that she's a lone big, knowing that with Angel out, somebody needs to be the go-to player, and Kamilla has taken upon herself to be that player. So I just really see her becoming more and more demanding of the ball, more and more confident in herself, and just asking for the ball, because this is something she can do night in and night out.
Yeah, for sure. And I think I kind of come back to a quote from Tyler Marsh from, it was like maybe a week or two ago. It was, of course, naturally after a loss, because they haven't been winning too many games over the last couple of weeks. But being focused on the process, even through the losses, is extremely important. And I think for Tyler, being able to kind of detach, obviously you're working towards wanting to win every game, but sometimes some of those things are out of your control because of the personnel that you're working up against, based off of what other teams have in their rotation. So focusing on ways in which he can continue to evolve the process and get more out of Kamilla Cardoso. He talked about, essentially, he said, gone are the days where she's only catching the ball in the post and going to work one-on-one and occasionally making a kick-out pass. We're going to find ways to sometimes have her initiate a pick and roll with a guard around the free throw line area of the floor. Sometimes we're going to find a way to get her in some movement off of a screen into a handoff or a handoff into a screen and see what she can do to kind of get downhill and put a different, unique type of pressure on the defense. I think those things and kind of tweaking her usage and also just getting her more touches in more different spaces past just that post area, I think is very important because she's a player that's not just a one-trick pony as far as being able to put the ball in the basket in the post. She has a handle. She sees the floor well. She's capable of making passes off of the things that she sees. She has a good feel for what defenses are trying to do to her and kind of how to combat those with a good pass or a well-timed pass that creates kind of rotations for a defense to have to play catch up to. And I think those things are super, super important. They might not be the most loud things because with Kamilla, people are usually looking for her to put the ball in the basket first, second, and third. And if it's not one of those baskets, it's her grabbing a rebound in some capacity. So I think those things are very, very important. And then the other big thing for me with where she is now, and then we'll kind of transition to the post All-Star break stretch, it's that ability to play in the pick and roll, but not just be a big that's only deep roll into the basket. Can you kind of get into short roll situations and either create for yourself or make that extra pass to keep a defense trying to rotate to the ball? I think those things are very important. But just generally speaking, man, any closing thoughts on Kamilla before we dive into the post All-Star break stretch?
Just the fact, like you alluded to, her versatility is being more on display right now, which I think she has more to her game to unlock. We just scratching the surface of what she can do, and to play into that versatility, I do believe that her versatility will mess well with Angel. To me, will be one of the biggest things moving forward. Once Angel get back, not just for this season alone, but obviously for the years going on. So I really do believe that her versatility, her ability to not only initiate the offense, not only just score in a low block, but like you said, score in multiple different ways and create for her teammates in different ways, which to me will be very, very important for the duo of Angel Reese and Kamilla going forward.
For sure. I don't think this team can reach its ceiling without both of those players starting to turn those kind of learning curves in succession with one another, honestly, in lockstep with one another, kind of hip to hip, skill development together, and then not just being it's your turn and then it's my turn with the development part. You want for it to hit at the same time so that the team can continue to kind of grow in this game process because of those two kind of skill developments and general talents just continuing to evolve and mature on a professional level. All right, we'll go ahead and get to the Angel T-shirt that we have here on CHGO Sports right now, Sarah. So if you could bring that pick up for me, please. We'll kind of talk about that briefly, and then we'll transition to more Kamilla talk in the post All-Star break since. So if you haven't heard, if you haven't seen, over the last couple of weeks, we've had an Angel Reese specific shirt that dropped, obviously kind of shaped in her image in multiple respects. You got that. Obviously, the sky colors, first of all, you want to look at that part of it. The gold kind of pops on the shirt after being the light blue primary color for the sky in their jerseys. Obviously, you see the halo with the basketball and the wings, all of those things being specific to Angel as well. In dark blue, you see the Chicago skyline right in the middle of the shirt. All of it just kind of meshing together and make for this kind of unique shirt that's definitely going to catch your attention when you see it in person. So if you want to get some dibs on that, all you got to do is go to the CHGO Sports site, allchgo.com. That is, again, allchgo.com. Check it out there. You can also, while you're there, become a diehard and get opportunities to kind of consume some exclusive type of content that we have coming at CHGO Sports, from things with the Bears, things with the Blackhawks, things with the Bulls, obviously things here with CHGO Sky. You can see things with the Red Stars and a bunch of other teams that are covered here under the CHGO umbrella. So definitely want to check that out. Definitely want to cop the T-shirt in the process. And that's one of the ways in which we're trying to go about supporting you all because of the support that you all give to us. So definitely tune in, check those things out. And then as we get back to the Kamilla Cardoso conversation, Sarah, we can go ahead and get the post All-Star break numbers up because I think these are very important in kind of highlighting and putting some context to the growth that we're speaking to. So 14 points per game, 50% from the field, basically 51% if your math teachers taught you to round up. 10.6 rebounds, add that math the same, basically 11 rebounds a game on average, 2.3 steal or 2.3 assists, 1.1 blocks per game. And then that number that I continue to kind of tap the sign on, 3.2 free throw attempts. That number is not high enough, but it is on the ascent. And she is the crown jewel of the Chicago Sky in this post All-Star break stretch. They're looking to get as much growth out of her as they possibly can. I think she's owned up to it. She's holding herself to a certain type of bar and accountability. And we're seeing some consistency start to rise with Kamilla. So, man, when you look at those numbers with Kamilla, obviously the context of having multiple players that will make her job easier, not be available, and also taking into context the ways that defenses are paying more attention to her because of the players not available for the Sky. What do those things kind of say to you at this moment?
That she's taking the next step in terms of, like you alluded to, her aggression. That the fact that she's beginning to understand that she can be dominant, not in, not out, and the fact, like you alluded to, that with a lot of their players not being there, being derailed by injuries, it is showing her and forcing her to grow in different areas. Like you were saying, the free throw attempts is not high enough right now, but it's beginning to ascend because of her aggression, of knowing that she needs to take over, she needs to be more aggressive. So I really do believe that with all these injuries, unfortunately, the silver lining is that Kamilla Cardoso is realizing that she can be dominant night in and night out.
Yeah, I think you raised a great point with the silver lining point. And for some more kind of silver lining type of stats and the kind of space that she's operating in, post All-Star break, she's averaging 3 offensive rebounds a game. Only player that's played a relevant amount of games in this post All-Star break stretch that's out rebounded her on the offensive glass, A'ja Wilson. And who's second to Kamilla in terms of offensive rebound rate after the All-Star break? Elizabeth Williams. And then Aaliyah Boston is after that. So these are some elite kind of really blue collar types of dynamics of player that she's having her name kind of firmly involved in conversation with. That offensive rebounding opportunity as far as taking advantage of it, that's something that is akin to any elite level big that you look at across the entire WNBA. If you show me an elite big, I can promise you that player is not going to be anything less than top 15 at worst in terms of generally rebounding a basketball. Some players are a little bit more akin to the offensive side than the defensive side, but generally they're going to have a prowess on the glass. In addition to that, post All-Star break, she's third in the league on average in terms of defensive rebounds per game at 7.6. So you combine those two, the 3.0 offensive rebounds and the 7.6 defensive rebounds, and then you see that Kamilla is third in the WNBA post All-Star break in terms of general rebounds at that 10.6 number. That's very, very important to note for me because I think that she has double-double per night for, I mean, honestly, every season, the rest of her career, written all over her talent in terms of her potential. Add to that the ways in which she can add to that total that she's grabbing in terms of her offensive rebounds and just how she just has a nose for the ball in multiple respects. I think that's something that you can really start to build out her true archetype in a way that kind of makes her unique from other bigs. What did you think about just specifically her potential as an offensive rebounder, and then we'll kind of dive into the defensive side after that?
It, like you were saying earlier, it kind of alludes to her feel for the game. Just having a nose for where the basketball gonna be at. Just having a nose for being on the glass. Like you're saying, post All-Star break, 7 double doubles in 10 games, and including 6 straight double doubles. So to your point about her being a double double machine moving forward for the rest of her career, it's a small sample size post All-Star break, but it's there. It's clearly there. So I think due to her feel for the game, her technique, obviously being at 6'7", I think she's a double double machine moving forward. So I'm very, very high on Kamilla being a double double machine and a rebounder monster, not just offensively, but obviously defensively as well. So
For sure. And I think that part on the offensive rebounding side is really important for me because I think for a big doesn't necessarily create her own in terms of not needing someone to get her the ball in the post. Also, not necessarily being able to kind of score on her own accord at times. Finding those kind of marginal ways to have an impact on the game past just when you have the ball directly in your hands is very important. That's a way for her to easily get closer and closer to 18, 19, 20 points a game on average. I think that as her free throw rate ticks up, because there's no way refs are going to get away with giving her this whistle that she's gotten in her first season or this season going forward. I promise you, she's gonna be one of the top 10, no worse than top 12 in terms of free throw rate on average going from her third season, probably throughout the rest of her career. Put that in tandem with her being a significantly above average free throw shooter. If he's knocking down, let's say she gets to the line 6 or 7 times and she's getting 5 or 6 points out of that. Put that in tandem with, let's just say, 4 to 6 offensive rebound points per game. That's already halfway to 20 at that point as it is. And then you look at the other ways she can score in transition, rim running, obviously in pick and roll. She's really good with that, which I'll get to in a moment. Now you start to see the kind of incremental ways in which she's going about just stacking winning plays after winning plays after winning plays. And again, like you said, doing that in a 6'7" frame, that's not easy to deal with for any opponent. Even players like Lee Yeru, who can match her in size or stature, don't have the athleticism in tandem with that size and stature, which makes for her to be such a unique piece in the WNBA right now. Last thing for me on the defensive boards, I think that same type of feel for the game, you can see it playing out. And though I don't know if she gets to the point where with her handle, she can be like Angel in terms of grabbing those boards and just taking off with her own dribble. I think the potential is there. I just don't know if she has it to that same extent. Just being able, again, to get the ball in her hands on her own accord in different, more unique ways, that impact is there. I think she's a player that's going to be no worse than top 10, top 12 in offensive rebounds on average per game, and then top 5 on the defensive boards, especially as she kind of gets closer and closer to her prime and then sustaining there for a significant amount of years. You got any thoughts on Kamilla on the defensive boards before we kind of generally look at the rest of her game and then kind of close out for today's episode?
This really is to add on to that is like you're saying, her defensive technique, her size, just being able to get those rebounds, creating a second, not only for defensively get those defensive rebounds, but creating easier offense due to her controlling defensive boards, starting a fast break opportunity for her teammates. I think will be a big factor going forward for this team. So besides that, no, you hit on everything.
Yeah, she can really kind of put her stamp and fingerprint on games if she starts to have that type of force with the rebounds that she's grabbing. And then that leads into all the other different types of dynamics that come to her game, which coming back to the offensive side of the ball, I want to talk about her as a screener, her as a cutter, and her kind of feel for the game in those two contexts. Because with the ways that Tyler Marsh is liking to have his 5 spacing around the floor, especially beyond the 3-point line at times, she's not a 3-point shooter. She's shown a willingness to take and make threes. She knocked down, honestly, a historic one in her senior year with South Carolina. Everybody knows, and that's kind of a way in which they kind of went about getting to that championship round. But I don't know if she gets to the point where she's taking 3 or 4 attempts a night. And because the efficiency might not necessarily come until later on in her career, I think something that she has to lean more into when teams kind of shift off of her to either help around the rim or provide some type of help to put out a fire from somebody driving the basketball is timing on cuts. Now, she has good hands. I think she's improving with her hands, but in her timing, when she's able to kind of make a cut if someone attracts the attention of the person guarding her, usually a center, they're going to want to stay as close to the restricted area to provide rim protection. If her matchup leaves her, she's starting to develop this kind of snappy cadence of cutting immediately and following her matchup as she's kind of left unattended for a moment. And that's presenting an opportunity for her to just catch it and just put it up off the backboard or catch it and kind of play off of her footwork around the rim and navigate her way to the free throw line. As a cutter, whether she's in the corner doing that, whether she's on the 45 doing that, or she's just doing it, navigating from dunker spot to dunker spot, I think that kind of feel for when to do so and how to do so and always having her hands ready is making her a little bit more of a well-rounded kind of option even in a non kind of primary sense, and she's doing it based off the attention someone else is getting. What kind of potential do you see, man, in her as a cutter?
So one thing, like you said, cutting is a skill that people don't, doesn't talk about enough. And the fact you alluded to that she has a good feel for it really showcased me her potential of being a well-rounded offensive player, especially for a big. Not only does cutting at the right time helps with the spacing or helps with the flow of the offense, it really do create easy baskets for the offense, which I think is something the Sky can really utilize moving forward with Kamilla. So I think with Kamilla feel, timing, and how efficiency is around the rim, I think it can be a real weapon moving forward for the Sky. So she got the utmost potential in that regard, and the way she's playing right now, to me, is only getting better.
For sure, for sure. In tandem with the cutting and the timing of her cuts and how she's kind of having a better feel for when to get into those and her hands in tandem with all of that. I think the other thing for me, like I talked about as we transition to the post All-Star break conversation, is her footwork into her rolls. I feel like she's never been slow footed in any capacity, but I feel like if we're talking about the technique and the skill development of, for one, becoming a better screener, understanding angles, getting solid contact on that lower base of whoever it is that's guarding the ball handler to stifle their kind of navigation and create an advantage for that person going downhill. She's getting better with the timing of it. It's definitely still a process. She's getting a little bit better with that part of it. But the other thing for me, the footwork out of the screen and into the roll. Pay close attention to that part of it. She's not necessarily getting out of it quicker because she's taking her time and understanding that the patience, if she sets a good screen, is going to present herself with opportunity or others with opportunity. But rather than just kind of speed turning into her rolls, she's getting to a point where she's going to get into reverse pivots. And that reverse pivot is creating a more kind of sharp angle for her when she gets into her roll. And it's kind of allowing for her to be a little bit more on balance with some of her catches. So it's like kind of a watching tip for others that are paying close attention to the growth of Kamilla and where she's getting better. It's going to take kind of attention to detail things that you're looking at to really see that growth kind of reaping benefits. So I wanted to kind of mention that part, and then I wanted to open the floor up to you for anything that you might be seeing from Kamilla as kind of watching tips for people to look at going forward.
Going forward, obviously, the footwork. Her, to me, another area I think I can continue to improve on because the form is there. I think the mid-range jumper. I do
Yeah,
prove into footwork. The form looks good. So I think even more so than the shooting from the beyond the arc, I think once he can consistently knock that at mid-range, not only will it open up for her game, I think it opened up areas of floor for the Sky that they didn't even think about going to the season or post All-Star break. So I think before even her, being more consistent from behind the arc, I think her getting a consistent mid-range shot is something to watch, moving forward.
for sure, for sure. The last thing I'll touch on before we get out of here, the assist. She's a very smart player. She can make passes on the things that she's seeing, and she's very great with the delivery and the velocity of the passes that she makes. So I'll probably have some film coming for you all over the next couple of weeks, just kind of looking at the points of growth for Kamilla. But on that note, Tramaine, I appreciate you tapping in with me, my guy, having this conversation about Kamilla and the Sky with me as well. Let the people know where they can find you, your socials, and of course where you're posting your written content as well, because you don't just cover the W, you also cover the NBA as well.
Sounds good. First off, thanks for having me. It was fun talking hoops tonight. So for my socials, for X, it is underscore main vision underscore. So underscore capital MAINE capital VISION underscore for X. And then for my IG, campaign main, all lowercase, CAMPAING and main MAINE underscore. And then I also for the W, I write for the Sky on Shy City Sports. And then I write for the W overall, High Post Hoops. And then for the NBA, I write for Last Word on Sports. So that's for my content.
For sure. Give my guy a follow. Always talking basketball, always writing about basketball pretty much year round. No different than me up in here too. So Again, man, appreciate you making time for us. For everybody, y'all know the drill. Y'all make sure you want to follow him on Twitter and everywhere else that you might be on socials. You make sure you want to follow me on Twitter as well, StephenPG3. And then you also want to make sure you follow our CHGO Sky account at CHGO_Sky. We got more live updates coming for you all and a bunch of other kind of fun things planned for the rest of the season. No, it hasn't been the most fun on the court, but one thing that the Sky are doing is finding ways to improve, even if it is just on individual basis, like with Kamilla Cardoso, who was the topic for today's show. Also want to mention to keep an eye out for Ajsa Sivka overseas because she's doing some things. And if we could go ahead and get that quick graphic up, Sarah, as we close out. 15.3 points per game on average so far this season on 65.6% from 2, 38.3% from 3, and 84.5% from the free throw line. Modern shooting splits, 2-point percentage, 3-point percentage, and free throw percentage. She's getting the job done. In addition to that, 6.9 rebounds, 3.3 assists, and almost averaging a block and a steal a game as well. So this is a player that's well-rounded. She's growing into her own. This is the under-20 team, so this isn't necessarily national team level. So you don't want to get too big for our britches or get too ahead of ourselves. But for a piece that's likely to be coming around to the Chicago Sky sometime soon, she's doing some of the little things that this team is going to be asking for her to do as a baseline once she does come stateside. So that's all we got for you for today's podcast. We appreciate y'all tapping in. Obviously, like you see in the top right corner or top left corner of your screen, you want to make sure you subscribe and tap in with Sunnyside with promo code HICHGO. Get 50% off your first 3 orders if you're a new member. And until next week, talk to y'all soon. Be safe. Go Sky.
We all silly like the mayor.